Hello and Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another episode at Law Hive powered by Zabist. I'm your host Zainab Ifandi Haqqi. Today we're joined by Ms. Sana Pirzada. Ms. Sana happens to be a barrister, an LLM, and an author. Her recent book, titled Tainted Whispers of Eden, has won a Gold Award at the Global E-Book Awards of 2025. Ms. Sana Pirzada is also the founder of Sana Pirzada Legal Solutions, as well as Virtual Legal Advisory. Ms. Sana, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Zainab, and it is my utmost pleasure to be here as a guest.
It is certainly an honor for us to have you with us. Sana, I've noticed you've been practicing for a long time, and you've been a staunch advocate of protection against workplace harassment. For our audience, could you explain what exactly is workplace harassment?
So Zainab, the thing is, before I move on and talk about the definition of harassment, I'd like to talk a little bit about my journey.
Sure.
Amongst other things which you have so beautifully explained, I am a human rights defender, and I take all sorts of human rights violations very seriously. And I have addressed some of the global human rights violations as well, such as the ongoing tragedy that's unfolding in Gaza. I've taken the liberty of writing certain letters to official bodies as well. Many people have, and I'm just one of those. I have also raised issues when it comes to numerous individuals, whatever those issues might be. It could be someone may be a victim of medical malpractice. But my area of specialization has been gender-based violence. And sexual harassment is actually one segment of gender-based violence. I have also been affiliated with Accelerate Private Limited, which is an HR consultancy, for over a decade. And you'd know that human resources and DEI initiatives, they all tie in quite well. And this is where sexual harassment comes in, and it becomes a problem for the stability of an organization and for the individual. So this is how I came about to specialize in sexual harassment. I've been invited by different organizations to talk about it. I have conducted several training sessions on workplace harassment for numerous organizations as well. As far as the definition is concerned, certain people have misconceptions about harassment. So when we talk about it, the first thing that comes to mind is that it has to be sexual in nature. Yes, many a times it is sexual in nature. There is that physical component. But you have to remember, and Zainab, I know we're going to talk about that in more detail later on when we talk about the legal framework. But we've got verbal and non-verbal harassment. So when we talk about verbal harassment, it could be, jokes, it could be gossip, it could be rumors. And people don't realize that all of these statements can actually culminate in sexual harassment. You've got the non-verbal aspects as well. Of course, that includes inappropriate touching, even brushing against somebody, leering, which is staring at somebody in an inappropriate manner, quid pro quo arrangements, which is what the statutes define as well. So these are all the different components of harassment. Apart from this, we're also looking at other aspects such as religious differences based on your faith, on your sexual orientation, and other things as well. So harassment is not just limited to sexual harassment, it could be on the basis of anything. And another thing also is that the definition has been broadened to such a degree now that we're talking about gender discrimination, we're talking about abuse of power, and we're talking about a hostile work environment. So it is irrespective of the fact. Another misconception, I'm sorry, I'm going to just bring this over here, is that we normally think that the perpetrator of sexual harassment is a man and the victim is a woman. And in most cases it is. That's how it is. But I have to clarify this misconception for the audience, for the layperson, that the perpetrator could be a woman, the victim could also be a man. It could be two people of the same gender as well. And in that context, we're not necessarily even talking about sexual harassment. It is an abuse of power. We're talking about a hostile and offensive work environment that has been established, and we're talking about gender discrimination. So I think I can go on more about that, but I think I'll pause in as far as that is concerned, so you can move on.
I'm so glad you clarified that it's not just limited to one gender, and you're absolutely right. It could be extended to another gender as well. And, there are real life cases, and we're going to discuss one in a little while. But before that, I want to talk about the legal framework. So currently in Pakistan, primarily we've got protection against harassment of women at workplace 2010 Act, as well as the Amendment Act of 2022. Furthermore, we have the Prevention of Electronics Crimes Act 2016. Do you feel, in your experience, all of these statutes sufficiently cater to protecting the victim as well as redressals of grievances?
So, Zainab, we have seen so far in a country like Pakistan, which has so many different challenges, especially when you talk about the judicial legal landscape, that these statutes in themselves have been quite revolutionary. And on the basis of these statutes, many people have come forward, many victims have come forward, and they have filed complaints, and there have been some landmark judgments in the country. So they have been very effective. But as always, we know that Pakistan is a country that is deeply rooted in patriarchy. It's deeply rooted in misogyny. It is a country where you do have corruption and bribery. I mean, we are aware of this. So
right.
As far as that is concerned, there most definitely are implementation issues. But as far as the statutes themselves are concerned, I can't hesitate to say that the statutes themselves are very well worded. The definitions have, so if you look at the 2022 Act, for example, it broadens the definition of sexual harassment from the 2010 Act.
Exactly.
And so the ambit changes from the sexual component to gender discrimination, to an abuse of authority, to a hostile work environment, which is more in line.
It's wider. It's wider ambit.
Absolutely, it's wider, and it is what many people in Pakistan and around the world go through, unfortunately. The definition of workplace has also been broadened by the 2022 Act. So we have seen through some of the cases in the last couple of years that harassment is not limited to just one kind of workplace.
Exactly, right.
It could take place at a university. It could take place at a hospital. It could take place at a concert. It could take place on the bus. It could take place at your home. Right.
So it would be wise to say that this act in particular, Protection Against Harassment of Women at Workplace Act, initially started off back in 1997. This itself has gone through an evolutionary change, and all the steps are pointing in the right direction. So yeah, we have to commend our parliamentarians for this. I would like to ask you further. Now, you mentioned that, of course, in order for any of these legal frameworks to come into practice, we need some organizations or some offices. And for this, particularly, we have Federal Ombudsman Secretariat for Protection Against Harassment that has been mandated specifically to protect rights of anybody who's been harassed, right? FOSPA specifically has been doing a brilliant job thus far. Would you care to explain a little bit about the procedure of filing, maybe how anybody watching this, if they need to reach out to someone, seek any sort of redressal, where do they go? What's the first step?
So, Zainab, on the basis of what I've observed, FOSPA has been doing a remarkable job, and I have been keeping up with their landmark judgments. And as I was just talking, a moment ago about a country like Pakistan, which is behind in many things. The point being that, and I'm going to say this in Urdu for the comfort of the audience as well. अगर किसी के साथ किसी किस्म की कोई ज़्यादती हो रही है ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस में, तो सबसे पहला पॉइंट तो आप ये याद रखें कि जो 2010 का कानून है, उसके तहत जो आपकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, it has to have an anti-harassment policy. Okay, this is something that the employee should be aware of. And if the employee is not aware of this, then that means there's something wrong with the organization, with the management, and they need to work on that. The second point is, as per law, जो inquiry committee है, that is the first point where the employee has to approach if they have a problem with somebody, or if they've been a victim of harassment. उनका एक अपना procedure होता है. There has to be a 3-member panel. One of those 3 members has to be a woman, as per law. After the whole procedure, they'll give you a sort of a verdict. they could either give a minor penalty or a major penalty depending on the gravity of the situation. If the victim, or the complainant rather, is unhappy with the decision of the inquiry committee, then the second step for them is to approach the ombudsperson. It could either be the federal ombudsperson or the provincial, depending on where they are within Pakistan. और उसका प्रोसीजर ये है FOSPA का कि अगर आप उनकी वेबसाइट पे जाएं, वहाँ पे आपको नंबर्स भी मिल जाएंगे, वहाँ पे आपको उनकी कंप्लेंट प्रोसीजर्स पूरे मिल जाएंगे, हाउ टू फाइल अ कंप्लेंट ऑनलाइन और इन पर्सन, व्हाटएवर सूट्स द इंडिविजुअल, and that will provide guidelines to them as to how they can go ahead. और उसका प्रोसीजर भी वही होता है जो एक कोर्ट का प्रोसीजर होता है. विटनेसेस बुलाए जाते हैं, there is documentary evidence that you would have to present, of course, and then of course you'll get the verdict in accordance with whatever you've presented and whatever the ombudsperson feels is right legally.
So Sana, this brings me to the next question. Now you've gone on speaking about organizations, so let's focus on organizations in particular now. Do you feel, in your experience so far, organizations have adopted an anti-harassment policy, and if so, do you think they are in compliance with that anti-harassment policy, or is it just some piece of paper that they have to ensure in compliance with the statutes that they've passed?
So Zainab, that is an excellent question, and I think that's so important because as we've already discussed, as per law, every organization has to have an anti-harassment policy. Most do. And most are now even conducting training sessions on sexual harassment. In fact, a lot of them are doing it in collaboration with FOSPA, or they call people privately. I've done that for some organizations, as I've already mentioned. However, based on my experience, I can also tell you that there are still some organizations that are reluctant to openly talk about sexual harassment. I mean, without naming any organization, I can say that I was invited at some point a couple of years ago on International Women's Day somewhere. और जो topic था वो initially workplace harassment ही था, and one day before I was somebody phoned me from the organization and they said, can you change the title to something that's more positive?
Oh.
I had to change it.
How do you change that?
Well, I changed it to, I changed the angle to happiness at workplace so that I could try and tie in the fact that what makes a workplace a happy environment, and then I could try and bring in sexual harassment. But the point being, so I'm a very flexible person, so I didn't want to, get into a confrontation with them. But the point is that what this is showing about your organization is that there is something wrong there.
Right.
Okay?
Exactly.
If nothing is wrong, then you have nothing to be afraid of.
Right.
Yeah.
And they need to focus on transparency.
They need to focus
Every organization needs to reflect upon transparency, of especially some policies like this.
Absolutely. So what some organizations are afraid of is rebellion. That when people know too much, they will start revolting. I mean, it's basically like the communist revolution or one of those other revolutions. The more you know about something, the more you can speak out against it, and they're going to get into trouble. Now, what I'd like to say at this juncture is that if you stop somebody ab initio, right, and if they stifle in silence, it's going to snowball and it's going to blow out of proportion. So ultimately what's going to happen is it's going to damage your organization even more if you hadn't stopped it in the first place, because it leads to very distressing scenarios, Zainab. People have been known to fall into mental illnesses.
Yes.
And of course, if you fall into a mental illness, it
would affect your overall environment, with your relations with your family members, your loved ones, your overall performance, even your productivity level at the office places.
Absolutely. And it could lead to something even more disastrous.
Something specifically, yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's something I do want to come to. Now, before we come to that question, I would like your perspective on what exactly is a passive bystander or an active bystander. How do you differentiate? What exactly? Could you just give us some examples for our audience to further understand these concepts?
For this, I'd actually like to start saying, most people, especially those who are lawyers, know what is an act and what is an omission. And for those who don't know, when you do something wrong legally, that is an act. But when you fail to do something which you should have done, that is an omission. And even in such a circumstance, you can be equally culpable, legally and morally.
Now, I have to stop you here and ask you further to maybe give an example of what bare minimum would an act look like for audience to further understand, because aam awam bhi sunegi, right? So if you have to educate people, what is the bare minimum? Forget, everybody understands touching physically would be an act.
Yeah.
But I'm asking for the bare minimum. Where does it start?
Okay, take the example of a restaurant. ठीक है, आप एक रेस्टोरेंट पे बैठे हुए हैं और वहाँ पे एक खातून की एग्जांपल हम ले लेते हैं जो कि अकेली बैठी हुई हैं, एंड यू सी अ मैन हुज अप्रोच्ड हर, ठीक है, और वो उनसे इनअप्रोप्रिएट गुफ्तगू कर रहा है, एंड यू कैन ओवरहियर बिकॉज यू आर जस्ट सिटिंग एट द टेबल राइट ओवर देयर. What that man is doing, and if he doesn't know her, he's a complete stranger, he's taking the liberty of openly flirting with her, let's put it that way, he is essentially harassing her. Okay, so that would be an act, and that would be an illegal act, and of course an immoral act. Now the person sitting on the table beside you might think, this is not my problem, I'll just walk away,
because it doesn't affect us in particular.
Well,
right?
Zainab, the thing about harassment is that it is it has a domino effect. It affects everybody. And if you don't stop it now, it's going to impact you. It's going to impact somebody else. So this is where the concept of the active and passive bystander comes in. If you're a passive bystander, you will just walk away, which is wrong. As I said, it's morally wrong, and it could also be legally wrong because you might be called as a witness. You may have to, testify under whatever circumstances. An active bystander, on the other hand, is somebody who sees a situation, and Abhi, because we're talking about harassment, who sees somebody being harassed by another person and they try to intervene. I'm quickly going to take you through a strategy of bystander intervention, and they're called the 5 Ds.
Okay, please.
And
do.
it's very important for the lay person to understand that. क्योंकि बहुत से लोग डर जाते हैं कि अगर हम किसी चीज़ में बीच में पड़ जाएं तो हमारी लायबिलिटी ना हो जाए या हम किसी खतरे में अपने आप को ना डालें. Yes, the first point is to ensure that you're actually safe and you're not entering a zone which is dangerous. So that is the first thing to ensure. Which is why the first D I'm going to talk about is distract. तो आप रेस्टोरेंट की मैं सिचुएशन लेती हूँ कि आप रेस्टोरेंट पे देख रहे हैं that a woman is being harassed by somebody. In order to distract the situation, you walk towards the woman and you just pretend to ask them a question. Excuse me, are you so and so? Or you ask the man something about the time, कि आपको time पता है, or just something that diffuses the situation.
Right.
What that will do is it will tell the woman that somebody is there to help her, and it will tell the perpetrator, whomsoever that is, that somebody else is watching them.
Right.
Right. So that is the first D, distraction. The second is delegation. If you feel you're not in a position to do something yourself, you can go to the manager of the restaurant, you can go to somebody else and tell them, ये मुझे यहाँ situation सही नहीं लग रही है. So could you please intervene and do something about it? The third is the delaying tactic. The delaying tactic is something has just happened, you see somebody in distress, they're just sitting. You walk towards them and ask them if they want any help. If you can call the police, if you can, take them to the hospital or whatsoever. The fourth is documenting. Now, we've seen, especially in Pakistan, it happens everywhere in the world, but हमारे यहाँ sensitivity जो है वो ख़त्म होती जा रही है. So if you see a horrible situation unfolding, people will be recording it, people will be taking pictures, and then they'll be uploading that on social media without the person's permission, without their consent. Now the whole point is, if you've seen some sort of an episode unfold before your eyes, and if you have taken the liberty of recording it, or taken pictures, excellent. Approach the victim and ask them if you can, if they're
if you want to use it.
Yes, and how would they like you to use it? If they ask you to delete it, please respect their wishes, because that would cause even more damage to a person. एक हमारी जैसी society में, and even बाहर की society में, हम सिर्फ
it becomes mere gossip.
It becomes gossip, और हम सिर्फ ये समझते हैं कि यहाँ stigmas है, या यहाँ पे women fear for their they experience shame and guilt. It happens everywhere across the globe. So people should be more sensitive to that. But documenting, coming back to that, is equally important. The last one,
it could even be used as evidence later on. So
it is.
They may be used. They may actually be grateful for you to record that.
Absolutely. But the victim's consent and
is
the
a necessity.
Is a necessity. So the last point is probably the most important, that is direct confrontation. And direct confrontation would be approaching that man who's bending over this woman in a restaurant and asking them to get lost. And I think that is something where you have to assess your own safety,
Right.
and you have to be sensible as to whether you can do that or it would jeopardize your situation and the victim's situation as well. So those are the 5 Ds, and I would strongly advocate everybody to practice this. And this is not just in the context of harassment. आप कोई भी एग्जाम्पल ले लें, किसी का एक्सीडेंट हुआ हुआ है, कोई सड़क पे पड़ा हुआ है, बहुत से ऐसे लोग होते हैं जो किसी की जिम्मेदारी नहीं लेना चाहते. आप इंसान को छोड़ दें, कोई जानवर ही इंजर हुआ हुआ पड़ा होता है, बहुत से लोग गाड़ी चलाते हुए चले जाते हैं, मर जाएगा.
बिल्कुल.
एंड देन यू आस्क योरसेल्फ, you know, what kind of people are we? Where has humanity gone? Because when we talk about something like sexual harassment, it all boils down to concepts like compassion, justice, and humanity.
Empathy.
And empathy, yes, which unfortunately we see are dying
Yes.
in the world.
It seems to be a very dying emotion. So we should grab onto whatever humanity we have left in us and maybe act on that as much as possible. This brings me to another recent event that occurred. A young male committed suicide because of workplace harassment at a particular organization. So we're not going to name names, but what do you think could have been done differently? Or again, as you mentioned earlier, that if they had taken any steps in initially, or you know, made sure the process itself was transparent, things may have been different. How do you see this particular situation unfolding?
सबसे पहले तो ये है कि रिपोर्टिंग स्ट्रक्चर्स, ग्रीवियंस रिड्रेसल ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस के, एज यू राइटली सेड, दे नीड टू बी ट्रांसपेरेंट. बहुत से लोग जो हैं वो कंप्लेन करते ही यही हैं कि हमें नहीं पता पॉलिसी का, हम अगर जाके बात करना भी चाहें किसी से तो हमें साइलेंस कर दिया जाता है. एंड ये वही बात है जो अभी हम थोड़ी देर पहले कर रहे थे, that if you do this at that stage, at that embryonic stage where these things are boiling up, then this is how it culminates with that poor chap committing suicide. And I think that, you know, that obviously that entire institution needs to be held accountable, because there was something very wrong over there.
And it happened over time.
Yes, exactly. It doesn't happen overnight, Zainab. The thing about harassment is that it is a persistent campaign of terror, if you like. You know, that's how I would put it. It just does not happen overnight. It takes place over a period
Naturally,
of time.
if it's targeting one particular person, it is that form of terror that a person himself is going through.
Absolutely. And you have witnesses, you have people who are seeing things. वो हमारी bystander
Yeah, exactly. Bystander.
And people, so at every point of time within that entire framework, everyone has failed that person, right? It could be his peers who failed him. I don't know about the family. I'm not going to comment on that, but I'm just going to comment on the institution. The management, Zainab, is basically to blame. And in any organization, जहाँ पे इस तरीके के हादसे होते हैं, the first point actually is that what is wrong with your management? Because the management are role models for the entire organization. It's always a top-down structure, right?
And you would feel protected with them, no?
You should feel protected
So
with
if
them.
they are not taking any interest, or they're not being transparent enough, or they're asking you to brush it aside, then you feel disheartened. And that's how, you know, it leads to depression, first of all, then other mental issues, and then unfortunately what we saw unfold.
Absolutely. I mean, what it's doing is that you have your management or your seniors as your mentors. जब आपके mentors ही ऐसे होंगे who are abusing their authority, who are creating a hostile work environment, so that is something that you will imitate. You see, something like kindness and compassion has a ripple effect, right? If I do something nice, you will do it. If you do it, X will do it, Y will do it. But if I do something negative right now, and if I look down on somebody, or if I pass a remark on a woman who's passing by, and if I comment on the shape of her body in a very lewd manner, the other person sitting over here will start repeating me as well. So ये सबसे पहले management की responsibility होती है to set an example, to set a precedent for the entire organization to follow. And when they have failed to do it, so when you look at such episodes, that means that there is something very wrong
with the management itself. And that's why we need to discuss organizations in particular,
absolutely,
as much as possible. And this is why we need to encourage such activities and seminars, you know, where trainings can happen, and the minimum boundaries are set. What would be all right, what would not be all right. So many times we see a lot of behavior thinking, oh, this is all right, you know, because we haven't been trained in a manner like that. That's why I specifically asked you to share with us what a bare minimum would look like.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for clarifying that. Sana, thank you so much for this time. I would like to ask you if you have any particular message that you would like to share with our audience at this point.
Zainab, firstly, thank you so much for having me. It was such a pleasure, and it has been an absolute pleasure meeting you in person.
Likewise.
As for the audience, I would say a few things. हमारा culture ऐसा है जहाँ पे चाहे आप आदमी हो चाहे आप औरत हो, साइलेंस कर दिया जाता है, इनअप्रोप्रिएट चीज़ों को नॉर्मलाइज कर दिया जाता है, एंड काफ़ी हद तक कानून का लोगों को नहीं पता होता कि भाई ये कानून है, दैट एग्जिस्ट्स. बहुत से लोग जो हैं, जैसे कि आपने सही कहा, जो सफ़र कर रहे होते हैं वर्क प्लेसेस में, दे थिंक दैट दिस इज़ नॉर्मल बिहेवियर और हम किसे अप्रोच करें. प्लीज़ रीड these statutes, which are all available online, and don't feel afraid to silence yourself. Always think of it this way: if you silence yourself today, it's going to harm you, it's going to harm your family, and it will probably harm many other people as well. Whether you're a man or a woman, anybody can be a victim of harassment. And if you have any issues, then please approach. If you are a victim of cyber crimes, for example, then you need to approach the FIA Cybercrime Wing. If it's workplace harassment, then please approach the Provincial Ombudsperson or FOSPA, and be there for each other. I would say that kindness, compassion, empathy, these are the keys to everything in life. Abide by them.
Wow, thank you so much for your words of wisdom. I really appreciate your valuable insights into this topic, and again, thank you so much for taking your time out for us. I hope the audience feels as enriched as I do, because I certainly do feel enriched after having this conversation with Sana Peerzada. Thank you again, Sana.
My pleasure.
Join us for another interesting episode next week on alternative dispute resolution methods, and find out whether or not they have been effective in Pakistan. If you have any questions that you would like for us to ask our guest, please share with us in your comments. Thank you.